Welcome back once again, YouTubers, to another Q&A number 227 with us, the British Fist.
Ka-ching.
I am Mr. Parkin, and this guy sitting next to me, he is a Paul Heyman guy. It is NJ.
This is my house! What's up?
Actually, technically, this is my house. Well, technically it's my mum and dad's house, but this bit is mine. So, no, it's my house. And we're going to answer some more of your questions this week. And if you have any questions, please, as usual, put them in the comment section. That is the only place on the internet where I will add questions to our forthcoming Q&A list.
And as much as we dive into it now, you know, I used to say make sure you contact us in the links in the description box below, but it just doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. Renegade Man 83. Do you have any idea what they're doing with Dean Ambrose? Do you have any idea what they're doing with Dean Ambrose?
Again, it's only a temporary thing. Long term, I don't know. Short term, it's possibly a feud with Orton, but long term, no.
I think with Dean Ambrose, we kind of always expected that the long-term plan wouldn't be for him to be like a main eventer or anything like that. We always knew that, you know, he would get a slight push, and then eventually, after they broke up from the Shield, he'd get, you know, he'd be involved with Seth Rollins, and then, you know, kind of peter out. I mean, after the whole Shield thing, there wasn't really all that much for him to do, and that's mainly purely because of the writing in WWE, just not being able to create storylines for him.
I know people are complimenting Seth Rollins for joining the Authority, but originally the first person I was thinking was Dean Ambrose. So to have brought Dean Ambrose into the Authority to have the Shield, Seth would have been fine. He would have been a high flyer face. People would have loved him. Dean Ambrose, yeah, he's that cocky, crazy kind of guy, but storyline wise, the Authority could have made something more out of it.
Potentially, but on the, you know, overall, Dean Ambrose, where are they going, or what are they doing with him? We don't really know. He's kind of there, then there, then there. There's no real natural progression there for a Dean Ambrose. Are you a big fan of Sting the wrestler and/or Sting the lead singer of the Police? I am somewhat of a fan of Sting the wrestler. As for Sting the lead singer of the Police, I don't really know enough about him to say whether or not I'm a fan.
Sting, we liked him as a GM in TNA.
Yeah, he was good as a GM. I mean, as a talent, he was good for WCW, and
he's still a huge name. But to be honest, I really enjoyed him as a GM. I thought the way he got involved and stuff was great. Wrestling now, I think it's more of his age than him as a wrestler. I'm thinking he should be one of the ones to retire. But the singer of the Police, why not? Yeah.
Do you think the whole King Barrett gimmick is hurting his career?
King is the key word.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, where was his career going anyway? I mean, even with the Bad News Barrett gimmick, you know, you knew they weren't going to go all the way with the Bad News Barrett gimmick. So, you know, where was his career going anyway? I mean, they'd already tried about 5 times with him and failed.
I think the Bad News Barrett could have gone a lot more further than it did. For some reason, when the WWE saw how over it was, they switched off. The King Barrett thing, to be honest, he was the best person to win it, as well as Neville, but I liked Barrett. But again, they didn't really do anything successful with it.
Well, I just don't understand why they would have Wade Barrett win King of the Ring only for him to fall into obscurity later. I don't understand why they do that, or why they've ever done that. And, you know, even with the Money in the Bank winner, they kind of just fade them into obscurity most of the time, having them lose matches. I've never understood that.
It's terrible.
What's the point in it? You know, don't bring us King of the Ring back if that's all you're going to do.
The thing is, I've said this before, the King of the Ring needs to mean something more than spotlighting someone for one show. It needs to mean something going forward.
Does TNA actually have a future going forward? If it is going to be a future, it's definitely not going to be on the up. It's only going to be on the down. I mean, reports suggest that they're not going to be with Destination America much longer, and if that is the case, their chances of being signed by a better cable company or channel or whatever is very low. So you can only imagine that the future for TNA is only just going to go further in a downward spiral.
Sadly, I think TV stations are being aware of TNA's decline, and it's going to be difficult. Yes, there's rumours they found for possible TV stations to go on. But in my opinion, without being too disrespectful to TNA in their future, it could possibly happen on those channels.
I mean, it all depends what channel it is, and what kind of an audience they have and how far they can bring. I mean, the main problem with Destination America was, I believe, you had to pay for like an extra package, which was about $15 or something to get the channel, which is probably why a lot of people didn't. Is the WWE starting the indie era of wrestling? I don't know about that. I think the indie era of wrestling was when ROH was apparently on top, when they had talent such as Daniel Bryan, Nigel McGuinness, etc. Just because they're signing people that were indie talents, product placement there.
Yeah,
even though you've got a bloody Paul Heyman, I'm a Paul Heyman guy shirt on. Just saying, Metallica shirt here. I suppose I better cover this. Anyway, back to the question. Just because they're signing some independent stars to NXT, it doesn't necessarily mean they're starting an indie era of wrestling. It's just that they want another brand for WWE with NXT, and as part of that brand, they want to bring more hardcore fans to that fan base, really, and try to attract those.
I personally think it's all about the person who's bringing in these indie wrestlers. Triple H. I think Triple H has more awareness of what the fans outside of the WWE want, and if Triple H knows that fans like the smaller, faster guys and always the big, bulky guys, then yeah, I expect at some point, it's not going to go completely indie, but I do expect the indie part to be bigger going forward.
If WWE is starting an indie era of wrestling, as you've suggested, Renegade Man 83, then that probably suggests why the ratings are at an all-time low. Will the PG era die when John Cena retires, and do you think he is the spearhead of why wrestling is so stale? Do you like his heel turn when he turns his heel? I do actually like that. I think that's quite funny when John Cena does that, just because it's kind of for more hardcore fans. As for will the PG era die when John Cena retires, no. It's not necessarily about John Cena, it's the direction the company as a whole wants to go under, especially now it is a publicly traded company. That's what's spearheading this, Vince McMahon, not necessarily John Cena. John Cena, all he is a figurehead for it. All he is like an image for it, kind of like Hulk Hogan was for the Golden Era. It's not really John Cena, it's the spearhead, it's the person who's spearheading all this, which is essentially, at the end of the day, Vince McMahon.
I think when John Cena retires, yes, this is what we've said for years now. They've got to start building someone up that's going to replace John Cena so they can continue. So there's got to be another PG guy for when Cena retires. So whenever that happens, it happens. But for now, I think as much as I could blame John Cena for everything that's going on, the ratings, no. But no, I think
the ratings, yes. Just saying. Cricket Sam 64. Which UK political leader / minister, past or present, would have had the best chance of getting over in WWE or TNA?
Barack Obama.
Oh, he's not.
Tony Blair.
He's not. Well,
George Bush.
You're just naming people. Two of them aren't even British or from the UK. Margaret Thatcher would have had some spice to the Divas division, wouldn't she? Do you know who Margaret Thatcher is?
I know she was just thinking her in Divas.
I mean, as maybe as a manager, I can't see any of these people in the ring, but a leader / minister could be a good manager because they're very good at portraying a message to people, which is essentially bullshit. I think a lot of people like that, political leaders and ministers could very much get over as heels if they wanted to, because no one really likes politicians in the UK. So you could really pick any politician. I mean, I think Boris Johnson would be a good comedy figure in the WWE because he's pretty funny. I think a guy like David Cameron would be a good message portrayer, so to speak, manager. A lot of UK political leaders could have been managers, just because that's essentially what managers do. They're just getting a message across and trying to get over their party, or in a manager's case, their guy.
Alan Sugar,
not a UK political leader.
Should be.
Robert, he is a lord though, so you never know. Robert Hernandez. Who else do you see Brock Lesnar wrestling in the future? Who else? I mean, the question here is who else is on his level? So Sheamus. You think Sheamus?
I think if he cashes in, they could have a short feud.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, if he does cash in and Lesnar is part of the WWE Championship picture, then yeah, maybe Orton. I mean, he's the one other guy that he hasn't really properly faced yet. I can't really think of anyone else, to be honest, because no one else is really on his level, are they? Especially not on the main roster as a 24-hour guy.
If they keep the IC champion looking strong going forward, Kevin Steen.
Or Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens, yeah.
WWE will never do that, unfortunately. Will you rewatch Raw if it went back to 2 hours? No. I wouldn't even watch Raw if it went to 30 fucking minutes. Seriously, just no. No, 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 no. Would you?
It's getting to a point now where, like I said before, the one thing that I'm holding on to isn't actually progressing to a point where it could be the thing that's going to keep me interested in the WWE. So I think to watch Raw every single week, like hardcore style.
I mean, maybe differently if it was on at a good time, like 8 till 10 UK time, but that's never really going to happen. So I wouldn't rewatch Raw anyway because I'm well past the period where I'm going to give any kind of shits about Raw now. What is the best match you have seen live? I mean, we watched John Cena versus CM Punk at Money in the Bank 2011. That was a damn good match.
In person, it'd be Triple H Orton when I went to Sheffield. But as for on TV,
yeah. I mean, I watched SummerSlam 2002 live, so that means I saw the Triple H versus Shawn Michaels match live. I also watched WrestleMania 25 and 26 live, so I watched Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker. So there, technically, I watched live. I would love to say Cactus Jack versus Triple H at Royal Rumble 2000, but technically that was on a video, not live. I taped it the night before when it was on Channel 4, and I watched it the next day. I would have loved to say I watched that live.
I'm going to say the biggest match, if I'm all honesty, is Andre versus our...
Sorry, what?
Andre the Giant versus our... I'm not saying that word because,
CC Network. We'll move on. What's the best SummerSlam pay-per-view since 2002's event, from 2003 to present? Big props but to Freddie, by the way. Go subscribe to the CC Network, please, 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 please. The best SummerSlam pay-per-view since, 2005 was very good. Hogan versus Shawn Michaels. You had loads of good matches in 2005. 2006, no. 2007, no. 2008 had that Undertaker Edge Hell in a Cell match. 2009 had CM Punk versus Jeff Hardy. 2010 was the Nexus. 2011, I think the best one for me was 2005, simply because of that Hogan Shawn Michaels main event. And there was, I remember when we were doing the SummerSlam review series, there was loads of other matches as well as that. But that was a great WrestleMania-worthy headline main event, that was, for that SummerSlam.
I think I'd lean a bit towards Taker Edge one. I think that was a pretty good.
It had a few good matches on it. That was a very good main event. 2008, I believe that was. What else was on that card? I think Batista Cena was on that card as well as the semi-main event. Or maybe it was Orton Cena. I can't remember.
Triple H.
It was Triple H Carly, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I think it's 2005. He's sticking with 2008. With British wrestling getting bigger than it's been in many decades, would you go see an independent show? If so, what would get you to go to one? I'm well past the stage where I'm interested in watching any kind of wrestling now. Quite frankly, wrestling just isn't a massive part of my life anymore. So I'm just not interested in it. I know you're a bit more interested than me on seeing live wrestling. Would you go see something like non-WWE?
I don't see why not. I know we're not expecting to see these progress to the WWE, but I think if it was a good gather with some friends going to this, I'd be interested in going to it, yes.
Freddie, I know you go to British wrestling events. I can't remember the name of the company you go and see, but I'm sure that's something that you and NJ could possibly talk about. Freddie has very high praise for his company that he goes to see. RFV089. NJ, what movie are you looking forward to most in 2016? X-Men Apocalypse or Batman vs Superman? Answer that first, but if you have another movie, say it.
In this particular one, out of the two you've been given, as much as I do like the X-Men stories, when it comes to Batman, hands down, I'm all for it.
Never been a fan of Batman. Don't get him. Mr. Parkin, what are your thoughts on Man United signing Morgan Schneiderlin and Bastian Schweinsteiger, and who do you predict will win the Premier League next season?
This is my interested face.
Keep that for the next minute. For Man United signing Schneiderlin and Schweinsteiger, one of the big issues United had last year was when Carrick was injured. He was their only defensive midfielder, so they needed to bring in some people such as Schneiderlin and Schweinsteiger who could bring cover or be better in that position and provide a more solid unit for WWE. For Manchester United in midfield. So I was a massive fan of those two signings. As for who do I predict to win the Premier League, I mean, I did doubt Chelsea a little bit because they didn't really improve their team. City were always going to be up there. I never thought Arsenal or United were going to win it, so I guess I'd have to say City, Manchester City, to win the league. Do you watch Tough Enough? Ha! No. Why the hell would we want to watch a reality TV show that isn't really a reality TV show? Or a show that makes it look like reality, but really isn't. And I've never been a massive fan of Tough Enough, to be honest with you, though. Any words on this?
When Tough Enough first came out, yeah, I gave it some praise. But when I realised the Tough Enough winners weren't, in all cases, going to make it, as of the previous years, I lost.
Type 1. And plus, Tough Enough, is never really breeded any proper stars for the WWE. What's the point in really doing it again if they're just going to fall into obscurity like the last guy did? Can't even remember his name. And I watched a few of his matches on FCW when I used to review that show, and I still can't remember his name. Andy Levine or something like that. He was shocking. Anyway, sorry, Type 1. Do you think that it's time to take the championship belt off Seth Rollins? Let's answer that question first. Has he been a bit stale as champion?
I've said this multiple times. I prefer him as a champion over Nicky's title reign, but that's not saying much. But apart from his Dean Ambrose feud, possibly a bit of Brock, yeah.
Has been. Let's look at it this way. Okay. Any buzz right now going on in WWE with Seth Rollins as the champion? Ratings, are they improving with Seth Rollins as champion?
People blame Seth, but I don't. But
I'm not blaming Seth Rollins, but I'm just saying that he is technically the top guy, with the belt when the ratings are going down the shitter. I'm not blaming Seth Rollins. I think it's the fault of the WWE, but he is kind of like the spearhead of it and the main guy that's on TV. I mean, are we interested in the Seth Rollins-Kane feud? Were we really interested in a kind of last-minute Brock Lesnar-Seth Rollins feud? How many times can they go back to the Seth Rollins-Dean Ambrose feud? I mean, it's always good, but eventually it's going to get stale. I'm sorry, it just is. So, I haven't been watching Raw necessarily, but we've had no real buzz coming from Seth Rollins, and ratings are, latest one was, 2.3, 2 weeks in a row, which is getting back to 1995 to 97 levels, just saying. If yes, who do you feel should take the title? A, Brock Lesnar. Please keep in mind that Brock Lesnar only wrestles 4 times a year. Or B, someone else. Who and why?
Someone else.
I don't think it should be Lesnar. I agree with you there. Now, especially now he's a babyface, I think he should be used for special attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Although, as for someone else though, go on. You give some names for who else you think would win the title.
For the sake of his last run, I could have said Kane for his last run. If I had to choose someone else that people are not going to complain about and rip to shreds, I'm possibly looking at, if they keep this build constant with Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt.
What, so Bray Wyatt to take the title off Seth Rollins?
If they keep this build that Bray's getting right now, because he's beat Roman Reigns. Oh my God, he's beat the big dog that WWE love. If they keep this going, people will be taking Bray more seriously. Possibly a feud after Roman Reigns, then take it off Seth.
Not sure I'd have a heel beat a heel, but I suppose you could make Seth Rollins a babyface, so that wouldn't be a problem. For me, there's only really one person, that's Roman Reigns. I mean, you could have Sheamus cash in the belt and have a short title run, perhaps, but I'd want it to be Roman Reigns. Just because there's a lot of history between them two. You could definitely build off that and make some kind of big match between the two. As long as you make the process of getting that title win a meaningful one for Seth Rollins. And that is going to be it for this Q&A. We've gone for another 20 minutes. That 20 minutes flew by. If you want to ask questions, like I said before, comment section. That's the only place I'll be looking for questions, and I'll add them chronologically. So if you added them in the previous Q&A, they're the ones that will be answered first. I'm answering them chronologically. NJ, final thoughts.
Okay, well, it's been the guys who have beat the one in the YouTube and one Mr. Parkin and me, NJ. Welcome to our house. Goodbye.
It's still my house. It's my bedroom.
It's my house.
It's my bedroom,
It's
NJ.
my house.
It's my. Do you want me to get my fucking
Yeah,
mum and dad in
go,
here?
go. Mum, Dad.
Your mum and dad are up the bloody street.